Hey guys, what's going on? This is RJ Game News USA here, and we're going to react to this video and sort of pseudo debate a guy named Waffles. He has a video, it came out a month ago, said 8 studies showing looks are everything in 2026. Now, for those who don't know who Waffles is, he's a black pill guy, which means he thinks looks is everything when it comes to dating. Not money, not status, no red pill talk at all. Again, I'm not red pill, black pill, blue pill. I just know it works and doesn't work. I can honestly say, look, I'm probably no better than a 3 out of 10 myself. And I've had women just throw themselves at me all the time. And I get, I do my due diligence and do the footwork to get matches, to start conversations, to get numbers, to go on dates, get them to come back to my place, that stuff, right? And I'm a 3 out of 10. I can do it. Anybody can do it. That's my opinion. I don't care what Wheat Waffles thinks on that because I have my firsthand experience. It's all about not giving a crap if you're rejected. It's all about confidence. It's all about and yeah, that sounds red pill like, but also I don't believe in, I have to looks max, I have to go to the gym, I have to do this, I have to do this, self-improve. Would it help? Sure. There's some truth about black pill? Yeah, of course. Looks are important. I'm borderline green pill. I think a lot of it's money, but I don't know. Anyway, let's react to this video and sort of debate it in live time when and where necessary. And of course, I'll say where I agree with him as well. So,
in this video, I'm going to be showing 8 studies that show the importance of looks is increasing in the modern day. So getting into this first study, the blue line shows the mean lifetime sexual partners people have by the decade, while the red line shows the percentage of sexually active women using contraception. As we can see, both lines are strongly correlated. So it shows as access to contraception increases, average lifetime partner counts also increase. This shouldn't come surprising. When the risk of pregnancy vanishes, then it's pretty obvious people will be more inclined to engage in short-term partners.
Well, yes, that I agree so far. Yes, when you have condoms and birth control, I think women feel more protected to have sex without the result being a child. Like that logic follows.
Some might see no problem with this. However, what it signals to people between the lines when they know they can't get pregnant from engaging in these encounters should be a stark warning for where we're heading as a society. And to be honest, not just heading, but we're already there. Simply, for previous...
Wait, really? This guy's gonna rail against birth control and shit? Like, we're really gonna do that? Like, dude, I'm kind of like, really don't like abortion to begin with. And so, I think being on the pill or using condoms makes a lot of sense if you're not wanting to risk it. So, anyway.
Previous generations, if a woman was going to have sex, the most important question she had to ask was, is this man going to be a great father for my future children? However, in today's generation, because women know they can have sex where children aren't even a possibility, the most important question now becomes, which man will give me the most pleasure? This increase in contraception has allowed women to substitute searching for good fathers for searching for the most handsome men. And you shouldn't underestimate
I think the two go together. I think women who think that they can have the most pleasure from handsome men also see those handsome men as potential good fathers. I don't think those are mutually exclusive in a woman's way of thinking.
Just how big an impact this had on society. Looking at the birth rate in America for the last 100 years, the biggest drop-off by far was this 20-year time span between the late 1950s to late 1970s, dropping by half from 3.6 to 1.7. And since then, it's been perpetually flat. And this shouldn't be surprising because it was in this time frame, the 1960s, where birth control became mainstream.
Right.
So as the bottom line, birth control was the first time in history where women could prioritize pleasure over parenthood. And the impact this has had on society has been enormous. Now some will say...
I want to see if he thinks this impact is good, bad, neutral. Personally, I think this impacts neutral. It's weird because a lot of people speak out of both sides of their mouth. We hear a lot about, oh, we don't do enough replacement for our population. You need like 2.1 per couple to do replacement on population, and we got like 1.6, and they label that a problem. Yet at the same time, there's a lot of people that go, hey, there's too many motherfuckers walking around here. We got 8 billion people on the planet. So, I mean, which is it? Personally, I don't really care or see a problem if our birth rate's below 2.1. We have a shitload of people. And I'm not saying exterminate anybody, okay? I'm not some stupid, crazy, weird-ass globalist who wants to end all of humanity or anything like that. I'm just saying we have enough people. We don't necessarily need to sit here and have a birth rate of 3.0 and just explode the population, be fruitful and multiply, especially considering resources are scarce, correct?
It's not guaranteed that contraception caused women to abandon looking for good fathers and prioritize pleasure. However, that's where we come into our next study, which shows that it actually does make women prioritize pleasure and looks in men. So this study by Lee and Kendrick used the concept of mate dollars to evaluate what men and women care about. It separated it for both long-term and short-term partners, so we'll be visualizing it with this chart. First, with regard to the long-term partners, it found men care most about looks. This shouldn't be surprising. Men have never denied that they care about looks. In fact, the study found men care about looks for both short-term and long-term. But again, it's not surprising because men have never denied this. Whereas for women...
That's true. But I actually think, I would put a little caveat on that. Looks, obviously we care about looks, but there should be another category involved here. The other category should be faithfulness. It should, for long term, a man shouldn't be going for looks. They should be going for humility. They should be going for faithfulness. Traditionalism. Submissive behavior. I don't know how you want to categorize it. But if it's just looks and what's the other one? Funding? I don't know. Hold on a second. Let's see what he says.
The study found that for long-term partners...
Oh, status. So status is the other one. Yes, men don't give a fuck about women's status. If it's just between status and looks, then yeah, we're going to pick looks in both long and short-term category. I just think that one thing this study is missing is it's missing other categories for men. Men want to minimize risk. Sometimes the better-looking woman involves more risks. So this study is incomplete.
They actually care about status. But when it comes to short-term partners, what women care about, this was the most interesting part. It showed women care about looks. Reading the exact quote from the study,
what?
For short-term partners, both sexes prioritized physical attractiveness, highlighting when it comes to short-term, men and women care about the exact same.
This undercuts Wheat Waffles' whole channel. If he says long-term women care about status and men care about looks, and on short-term women care about looks and men care about looks, well, that just shoots black pill completely up, because status is not black pill. Status is more red pill. And this is a straight acknowledgement here. Women that want long-term are looking for status. So this actually undercuts its entire philosophy for the sake of trying to prove something in this one video.
And again, when you combine this with our previous study showing that short-term is becoming more and more popular nowadays, it shows the best-looking men are having it easier. And the more this trend continues, the more the dating market will turn into a competition among men of the haves and the have-nots. The haves are the handsome guys, engaging the most in this short-term bonanza, whereas the unattractive guys are being left out. Now,
this is where the meat of our disagreement's going to come in, okay? The haves and the have-nots. The haves do have it easy. They got life on easy mode. Most women above a 5 are going to have life on easy mode. And most guys that are 8s or 9s or above, they're going to have life on easy mode. Okay, that's true. But where me and Wheat Waffles are going to fundamentally disagree is the have-nots can have their pie too. The have-nots can get pussy too. I am living proof of this. Okay? So Wheat Waffles can say this all he wants. There are women who are have-nots that men who are have-nots can also have. And Wheat Waffles does not acknowledge this.
Some average to below average men will cope and say, well, I'm not looking for short term anyway. I don't care for this. All I want is one girl who I'm with long term. Just one normal girl is enough for me. And for these, women don't care about looks as much anyway. It's mainly about status, so I'll be fine. However, this isn't true, because when we come into our next study, and in fact, this was my favourite study, it explored how what women say versus what they do.
Okay, so he's gonna undercut his last study by saying what women say and what they do are actually different. I'm willing to listen.
Can be massively different. And the way they went about this was they first surveyed women and asked them how open they were to casual sex. And as you can see, through the years, the percentage of women saying they are open has been more or less flat, maybe increasing slightly in recent times. However, when they asked women if they had at least one casual sex partner, there's been an obvious upward trend, reaching 50% in the most up-to-date figures.
Yeah, this is
my favorite part.
This is a classic. When you ask a woman what's her body count, she cuts it in half or she divides it by 4 or whatever, right? This is a classic. She doesn't want to admit that she sleeps around more often than she does.
Comparing both of these charts is the percentage of women who had casual sex is higher than the percentage who said they are open. As you can see, 50% had at least one casual sex partner, whereas only 35% say they are open.
And I understand the majority of the sex will go to a top 10% guy. But to act like all the sex goes to the top 10% guy is ridiculous. I think there's a lot to be said for, because enough men aren't approaching, it's actually created somewhat of a vacuum for other men, such as myself, to approach. And I've noticed success just off the simple fact that there's a lot of guys that aren't doing shit. And honestly, keep doing nothing. Please. Please, this is no advice. Don't take my advice. Continue sitting on the sidelines. I don't want the competition. Alright? But I'm just pointing out the fact.
So this highlights whenever you hear a woman say, I don't do that kind of stuff. I'm looking for a relationship only. Or if she has in her Tinder bio, no hookups.
No hookups in the bio,
Some of the time, not all the time, but some of the time, she's one of the types where she says she's not open, but has had these experiences before.
Oh yeah, well that's
her
true.
Words do not match her actions.
Oh yeah, words are...
And usually when they've engaged in these...
Very seldom do a woman's words meet her actions. Like that I gotta give that to Wheat Waffles, for sure.
Which type of guys do you think it is? The unattractive guys? Or not even unattractive, even just the average? Or the handsome guys, the best looking guys she can find? Now, how do we know it's mostly these men who are involved, while many average to below average guys are being left out? This is where our next study comes in. This next study, which many of you would have seen before, shows the number of men who are getting nothing is increasing.
Oh yeah, this is where me and Wheat Waffles are going to have a fundamental disagreement, okay? This is what I would ask, and I'm not trying to be mean to anybody who's watching me. I'm sure I have an audience that are male and that are virgin, and this is, honest to God, instead of just assuming they can't get it, okay? Let's look at every possibility of could it be them. My question to anybody who is single, a man who's single or a virgin who wants to have sex, who wants a girlfriend, my question is, how many women did you cold approach today? How many women did you try to match with on dating websites? How many? Because I'll tell you what I do. I go for thousands a month. Thousands. Okay? And all I need is one to say yes. To start a conversation. All I need is one to agree to a date. All I need is one to agree to come home with me. Out of thousands of attempts. It's just repeating the numbers game over and over again. That's all it is. And then, obviously, you could choose to not be with somebody. You connect who you want to connect with. But is it a lack of attempts? I believe that's what Raymond Thoughts and Mind is going through right now. YouTuber who hasn't got laid in 15 years. I believe it's lack of attempts. He's put himself in a defeatist mindset, like, why bother? Women will reject me anyway. How do you know, man? You don't know. You can't read minds. You have to keep trying. You miss 100% of the swings you don't take. That's the truth. That's the truth. Now, some guys hate rejection, fear rejection, can't stand it, can't live with it, can't live with themselves being rejected. Doesn't matter. You have to learn to be okay with being told no and just moving on. Okay? Even dealing with ridicule. Fuck it. Who cares? You live once. You want to get your dick wet. You deserve an opportunity to try to. So, let's see what Wheat Waffles says here.
Alarming rate, to be honest, because it's like an exponential trend upwards.
Or another thing I'm pointing this out. A woman's standard is definitely too high. But sometimes a man's standards can be too high. I do know some 40-year-old virgins who they have a too high of a standard. They'll never move off that standard. And because of that, that's why they're virgins. Now, if they can live with that and they're fine with that, that's fine. That ain't my life. That ain't me.
So, when we bring back the chart from the previous slide, showing women are having more casual sex, how can it be the number of women who are having casual sex is increasing? At the same time, the percentage of men who are getting nothing is also increasing. Or similarly, using the chart from the first slide, how can it be across the board average partner counts are increasing? At the same time, the percentage of men who are getting nothing has tripled. Genuinely, how can it be the case that there's been a 3 times increase in men who are getting nothing, while simultaneously average partner counts have gone up by 5 times?
Well, I'll answer this before he does. It's the top men are getting more. And the top men have realized to not get married and settle down because they could have their pick of the litter. They could have women throwing themselves at them. And they don't have to do the commitment of marriage and deal with the bullshit divorce courts. First step is if you fix the divorce courts, you fix child support laws, you fix alimony laws, those rich men might be more inclined to settle down without the risks of losing half of their shit. Alright? That's part of it. The other part of it is some of these guys are just having fun. They don't want to settle down. But I think if you fix the divorce and the lawyers and the child support bullshit and a bunch of shit that protect men's wealth that they actually earned that the woman had nothing fucking to do with, that would probably help them get married. They marry off, and if they're faithful, that should open up more women who have to go settle down, bring their standards down. That's part of the issue.
Well, there's only one mathematical answer. It's because dating is becoming more monopolized, especially among the most handsome men. It's pretty easy to explain it visually using this line showing lifetime partners. Before, we know from our data that the mean lifetime partner count used to be 2. Therefore, plotting as a theoretical scatter graph, the data points would look something like this. So the vast majority of guys would have a partner count of 1, 2, or 3, and maybe there's a couple zeros or 4s or more. As a whole, it represents this bell curve and the mean checks out at 2. However, nowadays, we know 2 things. 1, the mean has increased all the way to 9, 5 times higher than it used to be. And 2, the number of zeros has increased a lot. In fact, this represents nearly 1/3 of all men. So how on earth can it be possible that the number of zeros is this big?
I really would like to know a study of these 1/3 of all men who haven't been laid. How many women do they ask out a day? How many? That's what I want to know. Because if I'm single and I'm looking, I'm asking out a fucking 100. That includes like liking on Facebook dating, POF, Bumble, doing all the dating sites. That obviously is the majority of it. But if I want it, I'm looking. It's like a job application. You just keep plugging away, plugging away, plugging away, plugging away. One calls you back for an interview. Maybe you don't get it. Plug away, plug away, plug away, plug away. It takes like an hour of your day. Yeah, it's an hour. But is an hour of your day worth getting laid? Yes. Yes, I think it is.
But the mean can be all the way over here. Well, it must be the case that there are a handful of guys really far right of the chart, dramatically bringing up the average. This is the only way this can be true. And of course, you're going to have the people in between, maybe looking something like this. However, for the mean to be this high, it has to be the case there are a handful of guys very far right on the chart to counterbalance the extremely high number.
I can tell you, if the average truly has went from 2 to 9, and now 9 is the average partners you've had sex with in your life, I've well exceeded it. I've well exceeded it. And so, like, you know what? I'm definitely not no fucking Chad. So how did I well exceed it? Am I rich? No, I'm not rich. I'm not a Chad. I'm not rich. So how did measly old me exceed it? We Waffles would never be able to comprehend this. It's really simple. Just fucking try. You just fucking do it. You just fucking keep hitting the likes. You keep getting replies. You talk to them. I mean, who would have guessed? Who would have guessed?
Today. And these guys dominating the 10 plus are more often than not the top 5% guys. Handsome, attractive dudes, chads, whatever you want to call them. Whereas the majority of dudes at the bottom, the zeros are majority made up of average at best, often below average guys. This is the only way the math can check out. Now, how do we know these aren't life choices though? How do we know the zeros aren't choosing to be zeros? Well, when we come to our next study, and this isn't a study, but it's still interesting and highlights the point. I did a poll asking about my audience virgin status. And from the results of this poll, we can build this chart, which first shows for the guys who rated themselves as 5 or below. Using these two polling options, we found that there was a 63% virgin chance. Whereas for the guys who rated 6 plus, using these two bottom options, we find there was a lower 43% virgin chance. Therefore, based on my audience's own self-evaluations, if a man is...
So his chat, in his poll, he put, what's your sexual market value and virgin status? I'm a 5'10 or below and a virgin, 25%. I'm a 5'10 and below and not a virgin, 15%. I would be in that 15%. I'm a 6'10 or above and a virgin, 26%. And I'm a 6'10 or above and not a virgin, 34%. So again, this was 5,000 people voting. So what's 15% of 5,000 people? That's like, that's 750 people. Okay. All right, that's just one sample, right? You expand that to millions and millions of men. That's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of men, which I would be a part of. That's a 5'10 and below and not a virgin. So again, how would that be possible? Well, I'm sure these guys took a lot of whacks at the tree. That's the fucking answer. Okay? If Black Pill was true, truly, truly true, and only Black Pill was true, and Wheat Waffles worldview was true, that percentage would be so minute. It would be 0% or 1%. It would be so very minute. But it isn't. It does put your life on harder mode when it comes to getting laid, in theory. But you just take more whacks at it, guys. That's all you got to do, legitimately. Lower your standards and take more whacks at it. You know what I mean? That's it. That's it. That's all. That's it. That's all you have to do. So this graph, to me, closes the case. And we actually don't need to watch any more of the video. I think I've clearly won this debate against Wheat Waffles. Black Pill is only partly true. Just like Red Pill is only partly true. And Blue Pill is only partly true. There's different circumstances. There's nuances. There's niches. You know, there is preference and not just objective looks as well. So I think I've proven my case, guys. Effort is the most likely way you get laid. Effort is. And I don't mean no red pill effort like Even though it would help, go to the gym, looks max, all that. Effort as far as literally just clicking likes in dating apps and continuing to do so. That kind of effort. That kind of effort. Other efforts do help, like money and looks, right? Well, looks is not an effort, but looks maxing is an effort. Going to the gym is an effort. You know, but I'm just talking really simple effort, like hitting that like button and being able to hold a conversation. 15% of his audience can do it. Okay? Out of 5,000. So if there's millions of virgin men out there, 15% are finding a way to do it like me. So you can do it too if you're a virgin. So wheat waffles, you're wrong. I win. Anyway, guys, what do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. But for now, this is RJ signing out. Peace. Have a good one.